Hey guys, my name is Star. Sorry about my voice sounding a bit weird. I am a bit tired. Uh, but today we are doing another Mental Health Monday video. I want to talk about basically certain questions I've been asked before about having schizoaffective. So I googled the most inappropriate common questions asked about people with any psychotic disorder. Let me read some of them now. Are you crazy? That is a very problematic one, but I will say yes, I am a bit crazy. I'm aware of that. But not in the cute kind of way. More like fucking crying, screaming, low self-worth level kind of crazy. So, yeah, I am a bit crazy, but not in the way that like neurotypical people think that psychotic disorders are like. One TV show I think that represents this kind of disability really well is Arcane with Jinx. I really see myself in her, and I'll be honest, Arcane is one of the first shows I ever got to look at myself and not hate myself. Another very, very inappropriate question I get asked a lot about having a psychotic disorder is, do you hallucinate during sex? I don't know how to answer that. Like, yeah, I'm a virgin, but that's like one of my biggest fears, I'll be honest, is hallucinating during sex or having an episode during sex, which really freaks me out. Another inappropriate question I get asked a lot is, are you dangerous? But if I was dangerous, I'd be dangerous of just, like, being near you. Like, no. Not all people with psychotic disorders are dangerous. In fact, most of us aren't. But no, I am not a dangerous person. Most people who have a psychotic disorder are not dangerous. So I don't get why people think that we are automatically dangerous just because we see and hear stuff that isn't real, or that we may have odd beliefs sometimes. And also, people with any form of psychotic disorder are 10 times more likely to be a victim of a violent action rather than the perpetrator. Another common question that I get asked as someone with a psychotic disorder is that, do you have a history of drug use? That is none of your business, first of all, unless you're the person's a doctor or therapist or whatever. But do people not realize that psychotic disorders are mainly either trauma-based or genetic? In my case, it is a genetic, which means someone in my family had it, and then it got passed down to me. So that's how I got schizoaffective. It's genetic in my case. Like, I've always seen and heard things that aren't real ever since I was like, I think the earliest hallucinations I remember having was like at 6 or 7 years old. I would see like shadow people and stuff in my room, or I would like hear someone call my name. I'll go to where the location is that I heard my name being called from, and then nobody will be there, and I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't necessarily a question. The next thing I'm gonna mention, this isn't necessarily a question, it's like a harmful statement that people make about people with psychotic disorders, is that we cannot be self-aware, or like we're crazy and stuff like that. Like, yes, we are a bit crazy, but not in the way that you think. Every single psychotic person can behave differently from one another. For example, like Jinx from Arcane, I would say she has more of the depressive side of having a psychotic disorder. Or as for me, I have more mania, but also periods of depression. The type of psychotic disorder I have is called schizoaffective disorder, and the type I have is bipolar type, which means I have more symptoms similar to bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. So that's what schizoaffective is. Basically, I have really high highs, very low lows, hallucinations, delusions, odd beliefs, tics, paranoia, and I can be quite hyperactive sometimes. But right now, I think I'm going for a depressive episode, which could explain why I feel so fatigued and tired. Because this morning I woke up and I'm like, ah, fuck. Because I realized I'm in a depressive episode. But at least I took care of myself and I got dressed and stuff this morning. And also the fact that people say, like, oh, it's all in your head. No shit, Sherlock. That's what mental illness is. It's a mental illness in your head. It literally affects the way your brain works. Like, what'd you think was gonna happen? Did you think I was gonna barf out rainbows just because I have schizoaffective? No, I'm fucking crazy, dude. This other statement isn't necessarily a harmful question either, but it is a harmful statement, and that people with psychotic disorders are possessed. No. Like, no. I am not possessed. I have my own free will to do things. If I was possessed, I probably wouldn't be making this video right now, so there's that. Another, like, harmful, like, statement about psychotic disorders is that blind or deaf people cannot have them. That is not true. There are multiple instances of people being legally blind, like me, or someone who may be hard of hearing, that could still have a psychotic disorder. However, being blind made it more difficult for me to get diagnosed, because a lot of my hallucinations are not like most other psychotic people's hallucinations. For me, sometimes I can smell stuff that isn't there. I can feel stuff that isn't there. I can hear stuff that isn't there. I do have some visual hallucinations, but I can't really make out what they are due to, like, how bad my vision is, but I could tell it's a hallucination sometimes. Not always. There are times where I am convinced what I'm seeing is real. But most of my hallucinations are auditory, tactile, and smell, taste, and also, yeah. I can taste hallucinations, I can smell hallucinations, I can feel hallucinations, I can hear hallucinations. On occasion, I can see them. I definitely hallucinated way more when I wasn't taking any medication for my schizoaffective. But now, it's easier for me to kind of, like, connect the dots if, like, a hallucination is real or not. Like, shout out to this creator on TikTok I follow. His name is Cody Green. You may know him as Schizophrenic Hippie. He uses his phone to identify hallucinations, and that's a very recent coping skill I learned to cope with my hallucinations, is that I will open my phone camera, and I will flip it, and I will look around the room to see if a hallucination is real. Like, I think I'm seeing one right now. Nope, that's a real person walking by. Okay. That's how I know if something is real or not, is if my phone camera can't see what I'm seeing, then there's a chance that it's not real. So, yeah. It's been 2 weeks since I recorded that video, and I'm gonna finish it now. So, sorry I couldn't finish it 2 weeks ago. I got really, really busy IRL with IRL shit, but yeah, let's continue. Well, anyways, Other misconceptions about psychotic disorders is like a lot of shit having to do with criminal crime and stuff. Although, yes, there is a high percentage of us in jail, most of us do not commit super violent crimes. Unless it's like self-defense or something. But also, I get another, like, the dumbest misconception about having a psychotic disorder I've heard of is that you are dumb when you have a psychotic disorder. That is not true. There are very intelligent people with psychotic disorders, and in fact, most people who have a psychotic disorder typically have an average or a high IQ. In my case, I don't have an average or a high IQ. My IQ is 69, which I will do a video talking about my intellectual disability next Mental Health Monday. And another myth about psychotic disorders, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier in the video, I'll probably mention it again, who cares, is that it is always caused by drugs, when the majority of the time psychotic disorders are genetic. What's the moral of this video? Stop stigmatizing I cannot speak. Stop stigmatizing mental health issues. We are human beings, not stereotypes. Oh, God! But yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!